Hi, my name is Rania Zaki, and this is what I looked like back in August 2005. I had applied for a teaching job in Egypt and was hired on the spot. I was to teach English language arts to grades 6, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Hence the face. It wasn't only because I was to teach 5 different grade levels during my first year as a teacher. It was because I had no idea where to begin. My only reference was when I was a student at school. And that was long ago. Very long ago. I took the textbooks home with me and began to brainstorm on how I could become an effective teacher. I knew that I could make use of my degree in mass communications and my 9 years working in advertising. Teaching is all about communicating effectively, after all. Then an analogy hit me. Teaching and advertising actually had a lot in common. Both involved a product, an audience, and communicating in a creative, engaging way. In advertising, I learned the value of researching the product or service we were promoting. Getting to know the product involved identifying its strengths, its weaknesses, looking for any opportunities to tap into, and identifying any threats that could jeopardize the success of the product. This framework is known as the SWOT analysis. So what is the product for teaching? The product is the curriculum or the content. How could I make the content come to life? How could I make it exciting? I found myself applying the SWOT analysis to each short story, poem, or novel I chose to teach, looking for its strengths, such as how engaging it might be for students, its weaknesses, such as the level of difficulty or lack of relevance to students' lives, the opportunities for learning, such as how to expand on the content, and threats, such as whether or not the content tackled controversial issues that could be perceived as problematic. In advertising, it's not enough to know everything there is to know about the product. What is of equal importance is to know the target audience or the people you are selling your product or service to. The audience in the school setting is each and every student. I needed to get to know them well in order to be able to tailor my content to suit their learning needs. In getting to know my students, I found myself creating a safe space for them to express their thoughts and feelings without judgment. I found out that they didn't like English literature much, and I was all ears as to why that was so. During break time, I would join my students in their activities, allowing me to see a new side to them and learn more about their interests. Referring to the SWOT analysis that I could also use to assess my student audience, I found out that a common strength they shared was their passion for music. Students who hated poetry were suddenly interested in Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven when they were assigned to put it to music, amongst other formats to choose from. Students chose to perform the poem through rap and learned about rhyme, scheme, beat, onomatopoeia, and alliteration along the way. In my effort to get to know my students, I discovered that a weakness many shared was their lack of presentation skills. The reason? An extreme fear of public speaking. Because practice makes perfect, I assigned many presentations in my class. To alleviate the anxiety students felt, we all wore party hats for the first few presentations. Yes, we looked ridiculous, and yes, we were less intimidating. Slowly but surely, students began to gain confidence until they internalized all the strategies they learned along the way. Their weakness was turned into a strength. As for opportunities for learning, I realized that the Egyptian revolution that was unfolding was something that had to be addressed somehow. In talking to my students, I realized how the revolution had affected them. They were excited, scared, and felt like they were being taken on a roller coaster ride into the unknown. I asked them to tap into their feelings and this historic moment by keeping a regular journal, creating a scrapbook of events, and coming up with an inspiring video campaign to post on YouTube. The assignment resulted in published work in Egypt's leading teen magazine, an article in Egypt's leading newspaper, and one of the inspirational videos was aired on TV. I was able to seize the opportunity for my students to both vent and share their stories with a wider audience. And finally, in getting to know my students, I was able to identify a threat that needed to be tackled. Students expressed how they felt trapped in the confines of the classroom, having to sit hour upon hour on uncomfortable and rigid chairs. They said that by midday, their minds checked out. I knew that my duty as a teacher was to create a comfortable environment that allowed for student growth. I conducted my lessons outdoors when the weather permitted, and created a reading corner with beanbags instead of the uncomfortable seats they had to sit on. Reading and discussing literature suddenly began to become more appealing. Another commonality between advertising and teaching is that creativity is needed to engage the audience. I decided to expand students' learning experience by putting aside the English language arts textbook for a while and involving them in creating large-scale charity events. In one of the charity events, I assigned students to make the many governorates of Egypt come to life through national dress, dance, food, handicrafts, and more. In the process, they covered so many strands in the curriculum as they researched, communicated, collaborated, created a plan, problem solved, and took initiative in connecting with their community. The money generated from the event was later used to create a fun day for children from a selected orphanage. Students acted as the hosts and played with the children on the grounds of the school. Towards the end of the event, the children were presented with gifts they had previously written in a wish list. They had no idea that they were going to get everything they wrote on the list. The expression on their faces was priceless. The lessons learned by the students about compassion, empathy, and a sense of responsibility towards the community was unparalleled. I am lucky to have seen such accomplishments in my 6-year journey as a teacher. When I reflect on this moment in my life, I am thankful that what I've learned from my advertising experience came to the rescue. It provided me with a framework that worked beautifully for both myself and for my dear students. I cannot wait to begin my next teaching adventure.